Welcome to round 2 of the Unit 0 Lesson 2 syllable practice video. Just like in the first round of videos, I will prompt you with the romanization of 5 Korean words, and it'll be your job to try to write those words down in Korean. All of these words are taken from Unit 1, Lesson 3, so you have to learn these words eventually. The first word I would like you to try is 음식. Just to point out, if you were going to look at this from an English perspective, you might think that this is sick, but if you ever have the letter for the S sound in Korean followed by the letter for an I sound in Korean, the S sounds more like a sh than a s. So this would be pronounced 음식. I'll give you 10 seconds, and you can start now. Okay, in English, we start with a vowel, and you actually can't really start with a vowel in Korean. If you ever want to start with a vowel sound, you have to start by including this letter here. Now, that doesn't really have a sound when it's included in, if I have this 1, 2, 3 form or in this 1, 2, 3 form. If I ever have this little circle letter is this 1, regardless of if it's in this 1, 2 or 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3, if it's ever in this 1 position, it doesn't make a sound. Now, I need to decide if I'm going to be using this type of format or this type of format, and the way that I can do that is by looking at the vowel. The vowel is and the way that I write in Korean is just a straight horizontal line. And because it's a horizontal line, it's going to be in this type of structure here. So it's going to be this letter followed by the sound for an M. And the way that I make this M sound is just a little square. So this syllable right now just says but it doesn't say shik right now. If I want to say this shik, well, the sound for an S is done like this. And because the sound for an I is a vertically aligned vowel, it's going to follow this type of structure here. So the letter for the I sound will go here. Now, this just says 음식, and I need to add this letter 3 that I see here, and the letter for a K or for a G would be placed in this third place, which is going to go right here, and it looks like this. This says 음식, and it translates to food. The next word I would like you to try is 공항. Just to point out, as well as in this first one, with an English pronunciation, you might want to say umsik. That just doesn't sound very natural. This one as well, with an English pronunciation, you might want to say gong hang or something like that. I don't really know. So that's not how it's pronounced in Korean. It's pronounced as 공항. I'll give you 10 seconds, and you can start now. Okay, the first letter that is going to represent this G sound is actually the same letter that we saw here, because this K and the G, we don't really distinguish them in Korean, and it's almost sort of the same sound. So I'm going to start by putting this here. Now I need to have the vowel, which is the O, and the O sound in Korean looks like this, and it's more of a horizontally aligned vowel, so it's going to follow this 1, 2, 3 that we see here. So I'm going to put that letter for the O there. That just says go, it doesn't say gong. Now we saw in the first word that we had this little circle letter, and that doesn't have a sound when it's placed in the 1 position, but if it's placed in the 3 position, it does have a sound, and the sound that it makes is this NG sound. So if I put that circle letter here, that says gong, and gong on it by itself actually could mean a lot of different things. It could mean sort of like some sort of space, or it could mean a ball. It really depends on the word that it's in, or the hanja character that it's referring to, and that might be something that you get into a lot later in your studies. But if it's 공항, if I want to add this syllable to it, well, the sound that makes the H sound in Korean looks like this. Now, the A sound is a vertically aligned vowel, so it's going to follow this 1, 2, 3 structure that we have here. So the A sound looks like this. And then again, we have the last sound, or the last consonant, being this NG sound. So we're going to have this same circle little letter here, and this says 공항. This translates to airport. The next word I would like you to try is 팔, 팔. I'll give you 10 seconds and you can start now. Okay, I think this one will be pretty easy for you. The sound for the P, not for the B, but for the P, looks something like this. Now, the A sound, as we saw up here, it's sort of this vertically aligned vowel, so it's going to be in this type of structure here, this 1, 2, 3. Now, the A sound, the A is going to go here. Now I need to add this L, or I guess you could say it's an R, and it's sort of an L and an R. It's actually neither of them. It's not pal, and it's not par. It's sort of a mixture between those two, and it's pal. So the sound, or the letter that corresponds to this sound in Korean looks like this. And this says pal, and this word translates to arm. The next word I would like you to try is Basada. Basada. I'll give you 10 seconds, and you can start now. All right, cool. We have 3 syllables here. The first syllable is just going to have 2 letters in it. The consonant, that is the B sound, followed by the vowel, which is the I sound. The B sound looks like this. It looks like a bucket for B. Now, the I sound is just a straight vertical line that we see here. So it's just that there. I don't have this 3 because it's just 1 consonant followed by 1 vowel. So I don't have this third letter. Now, this next one, it's this SS, it's sort of this S sound. And if I put it with this vowel A, it's sort of like a sa. It's not sa, it's sa. And if you're just learning Korean, that might sound a little bit strange to you, because you'll probably say, well, that sounds exactly the same. But your ear sort of gets used to, after a while, the sort of sound of this one S looking thing or these 2 S looking things. At the very, very beginning, it's very hard to distinguish them, but your ear eventually gets used to it. Anyways, we're just focused on writing right now. So this double S sound in Korean looks like this. Well, there's the one S and there's the second S. And again, don't really worry too much about the pronunciation, because you can't expect to be able to pronounce or hear the pronunciation of everything perfectly in the first couple of days. Honestly, it takes years. Well, here as well, even though this looks like it's 2 letters, really it's 1 letter, and this is the SS sound. And again, it really looks like 2 letters, but I want you to assume that this is just 1 letter. Followed by, again, we have just a vowel, so we don't have this 1, 2, 3 structure in this first syllable or in the second syllable. It's just this 1, 2, and 1, 2, because there is no third letter. The sound for A, or the A sound, looks like this, which we've seen before. Right now, this just says bisa. And that actually would be a conjugated form of what I'm doing here, but that's getting into grammar, and I don't want to get too much into that. Followed by this third syllable. Oh, and look at this. This third syllable as well does not have a third letter. It's just 2 letters, a consonant and a vowel. The D letter, or the D sounding letter, looks like this, followed by, again, the A sound. So it's going to be the same as the previous syllable, and it's going to look like that. This word says Basada, and it means to be expensive. To be expensive. Now, what's interesting is most of the words I've used so far have been nouns. In lesson 3 and lessons after lesson 3, I start introducing verbs and adjectives. And this is an example of an adjective, and this might be the first time that you're ever going to hear it. And I actually didn't know until months into my studies, because nobody had told me, and I didn't really notice it. But you might be a little bit surprised to hear that every single verb and adjective in Korean, every single one, ends in this ta. Every single one. And you'll learn more about that as you get into grammar, but this is what I would call ta, which is added to every single verb or adjective, and this is what I would call the stem. So this is sort of the thing that gets conjugated. And whenever you conjugate a verb or an adjective, you sort of take away this ta. Usually, there's some situations where it stays, but usually take away this ta, and this sort of changes in a way, just like the word eat might change to ate or something like that, that this stem could change. Now, the next word I'd like you to try is 뚱뚱하다. 뚱뚱하다. Again, if you're looking at this from an English perspective, you might want to say 덩덩하다 or 덩덩하다. I don't really know how you'd want to say it in English. It's very hard for me to wrap my English brain around this if I'm so used to it in Korean. In Korean, I would say this as 뚱뚱하다. I'll give you 10 seconds, and you can start now. Okay, cool. We have a 4-syllable word, and you're thinking, whoa, that's crazy. There's a 4-syllable word. Actually, you often see verbs and adjectives ending in hada. Not always, but sometimes they end in hada. I already told you before that an adjective or a verb will always end in ta. So actually, this is an adjective, what we're doing in this one here. And sometimes they end in hada, but not always. Anyways, I'll get into that in my actual grammar lessons. But right now, we're just focusing on writing the word so we can practice the letters. Here, what I have is, again, this double D, and it's really just one letter. And if I know what the D-looking thing looks like, in this situation, it's ta, but in this situation, it's tung. If I have one D, it looks like this, but if I have this double D letter, it looks just the same as the one D, but there's two of them next to each other. So that's the letter there, and I want you to consider that as one letter in itself. Then I have this U, and again, this is the oo sound. It might look like an ah sound, but it's actually the oo sound, and that's a horizontally aligned vowel, so it's going to be like that. Then I have the NG sound, and the NG sound, as we saw before, if it's the NG sound that is made by this circle when it's placed at the end of a syllable. So I'm going to put that little circle letter here. That just says tung. I actually have the same syllable again, so I'm not really going to explain it step by step. It's just the same syllable again. So here I have tung tung, and it's, again, as a very beginner, it might be sort of hard to sort of hear the difference between this 1D looking thing and this 2D looking and sounding thing. But if I just say this is ta and this is tung, you can sort of hear the beginning doesn't really sound the same. It's sort of more forced in when it's this double sound. Now I have ha and ta. So in both situations, it's going to have this A sounding, this ah letter. Here it's the HA, so the sound for an H is done by this letter up here. So it's this little guy with a hat. Sometimes people like to remember this as a little circle with a hat with an H sound. Sorry about that. I'm just trying to be a little bit silly. And here's the A sound here. So right now this says tung tung ha, but it's not tung tung hada. I want to add this ta at the end. So I'm not really going to explain it again because I already have it here. Ta. And as I said, this is actually an adjective. And as I mentioned, 100% of the time, every verb and adjective ends in ta. And in this situation, you also have to remove it most of the time in order to conjugate the rest of the word. Now, this word translates to be chubby. To be chubby. Well, that was fun. I hope you learned a lot.